Biden inherited the lowest rate of illegal immigration in 45 years. And the first day in office, he made political decisions to cause this problem. And you should be ashamed of yourself because you're a reporter and you're not reporting facts. You're telling lies.
It is a crazy time right now. If you're not familiar with what's going on at the southern border, Title 42, which was implemented during COVID, has been lifted, and there is a huge rush of migrants coming over our southern border. This is indisputable. In this clip, Ted Cruz absolutely goes off on a reporter who asks a disingenuous question. Let's roll the clip.
Let me supplement the answer. Let me supplement the answer to that. Let me supplement the answer to that, which is we saw back there a couple of hundred people that were sitting there being processed. But they've right now, the Biden administration has sped up their processing so that they can process.
So just to set the stage for this is actually a press conference at the southern border. So he's down in South Texas addressing reporters about the issue that's taking place with tons of immigrants coming over our southern border and Title 42 being lifted.
Process an illegal immigrant in about 2 minutes. They are sending 40 or more buses a day, full buses, full of illegal immigrants to detention facilities. So as fast as they scan them in, they pull out a phone, they scan their documents, they take whatever they say, name, age, what country you're from, and boom, they put them on a bus and send them to facilities. To give you a sense, the facilities here can hold roughly 4,600 people. Yesterday they had 7,000. So you know what they did? They had to release hundreds of people, just release them into the communities.
Wow.
And you know, a minute ago you asked about what other states are doing for South Texas. I appreciate that. Because, look, South Texas is bearing the brunt of this. What the Biden administration is doing to South Texas is wrong. The hospitals here are full. The prisons here are full. The schools here are full. The farmers and ranchers see the dead bodies every day from this travesty. And all
Imagine
Joe
just
Biden
finding a
wants
dead
to
body
do
on
is
your
have
land.
more people come illegally.
What are you
You have voted down multiple times different policies. So what specifically the Republican members that are here today, what have you all done to help Joe Biden in this year that you all have waited for?
All right, so that's a ridiculous and silly question. I want to commend you for being the media and telling a Democrat policy. So let me ask you something.
Come on, man, that's been going on for 20 years.
Okay, hey.
Come on, man. That's been going on for 20 years.
Let me ask you something. What rate of illegal immigration did we have in 2020?
Do
you know anything?
A very low one.
Do you know anything?
How long have you been in office?
I've been in office 11 years now.
And this has been kicked the count during multiple.
Look how combative the press is in general with Republicans. I mean, here's Ted Cruz saying we have this awful humanitarian crisis at our southern border. We need to do things about it. And instead of asking questions about what can be done, they immediately start coming after him instead of trying to ask questions that would facilitate solving the problem. This is always how it goes, but watch how Ted handles it.
Except you're okay. You don't get to argue with me. You asked your question.
You don't get to argue with me.
You don't get. You want to hold a press conference? You can do it over there. You want to hold a press conference? You can do it over there. So hold on. I'm going to answer his question. The talking point of the Democrats, which this media reporter happily parrots, is, gosh, the problem can't be fixed. There's one little problem with that. It is an utter and complete lie. In 2020, the last year of the Trump presidency, we had the lowest rate of illegal immigration in 45 years. You ask, what have I done? I've championed the men and women of Border Patrol. I've championed securing the border. I've championed Remain in Mexico. And we turned this problem around and solved it. And we went from Joe Biden inherited the lowest rate of illegal immigration in 45 years. And the first day in office, he made political decisions to cause this problem. And you should be ashamed of yourself because you're a reporter and you're not reporting facts. You're telling lies. Joe Biden made...
The thing is, even though Ted is saying this stuff to this guy, it's not going to affect him at all, right? You should be ashamed of yourself. You're telling lies. You're parroting talking points. Here's what's really happening. Guy doesn't care at all, I guarantee you.
Made a political decision and they turn a blind eye. If you want to know just how much they turn a blind eye...
Listen to this, y'all.
6 weeks ago in the Judiciary Committee, I questioned Alejandro Mayorkas. I put up a poster board of colored wristbands. And I asked him, Mr. Secretary, what are these colored wristbands? And he said, I don't know. I have no idea. That was the one bit of his testimony that truly shocked me because just about every illegal immigrant who crosses the border is wearing a colored wristband. They correspond to how many thousands of dollars the immigrants owe the cartels. And the fact that Mayorkas doesn't even know what they are, if you stand on the banks of the Rio Grande River, as I have done many times, you see hundreds or thousands of these wristbands laying in the ground. Sir, I don't know if you stood there, but I know Mayorkas hasn't, because he didn't know what the wristbands were. And that means he hasn't talked to the Border Patrol agents either. It is immoral.
So Alejandro Mayorkas, if you guys don't know, is basically in charge of all of this. He's the guy that is leading the charge at keeping people from pouring over our southern border, essentially, and he's done a terrible job at it. And I saw this hearing where he was asked about this, and it was astonishing because even I knew about the wristbands and how the cartels label particular people coming over with wristbands based on what they owe. And so this is the whole gimmick. This is the human trafficking that's taking place at the border with cartels, and they use people to essentially transport them over. They're required to wear the wristbands so that it's known how much they still owe. And then they get over here and they have to work off that debt. Everybody knows that. Any person who's informed, I should say, knows that. And the fact that the guy in charge of the border didn't know that was astonishing. So Ted Cruz is absolutely correct here.
And when those kids cross, the teenage boys who owe thousands of dollars to the cartels, the Biden administration flies them to every city in America. They fly them to Kansas. And there those teenage boys are forced to work for the Mexican drug cartels committing crimes to pay off the money they owe. And if they don't pay it off, they'll murder their families. And I'll tell you, as bad as the boys have it, the girls have it
so
worse.
Bad.
There are thousands upon thousands of teenage girls trapped in sex slavery. And yet, for those of you in the media who don't report on that, you should be ashamed. This is evil. And the reason you don't see any Democrats here.
Can't really argue with that, guys. He's spitting straight facts. I mean, all of this is well documented, and the fact that the Biden administration is not only turning a blind eye, but essentially walking back legislation passed under the Trump administration that prevented a lot of this stuff from happening is very telling. Now, I asked a recent guest on my podcast about this. What is the reason for that? Why would you want tons of illegal immigrants facilitated by criminal drug cartels crossing over our southern border, which, by the way, also is how we have this disastrous fentanyl problem in our country. It's coming right over our southern border. It's coming from China, where it's synthesized, to Mexico, and then it's brought over our southern border. Why on earth would an administration want to facilitate that? It's something to think about. Some people hypothesize that it's because they want essentially another voting bloc coming into the country, the next generation of people who will vote for them because they allowed them to come in. It's interesting. And for the most part, Democrats see racial and ethnic groups as monoliths and voting blocs because of that. So, for example, you'll often see them talk about the black vote. Joe Biden famously said, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black.
But I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
That's how these neo-libs and establishmentarian Democrats see people of color. And so it's a pretty convincing argument that maybe they're allowing this to happen because they want to import more voters. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. If you like this video, let me know as well. Please throw me a like, subscribe, notification bell, all that stuff, and I will keep cranking out this content. Thank you guys so much. Until next time, keep your minds free.